Good morning. I have my coffee and it's late. I made a meatloaf. I used uh, ketchup and brown sugar to coat it with, and it was so good. So we had a delightful lunch. James came home for lunch. Now, I want to tell y'all something. I am sitting with this iPad in my lap, just like I started my YouTube a little over a year ago in December 2024. And it still works. So the lighting is good. I'm treating my feet and rejoicing this morning because this is the day that the Lord has made. Let's rejoice and be glad in it. Yesterday I talked about, I know what I wanted to do. I wanted to show you this picture. There is a girl by the name of, here, I got her right here somewhere. And she's starting her YouTube. And she's a school teacher that is retired. And she has made comments about my YouTube. And she said she thought she might start. She had an interesting life. And I encouraged her and others encouraged her. Go ahead and do it. So this is her first program. And there she is. She called it Senioritis. Senioritis. And her name is Deborah Conner, 7547. So I subscribed to her because I'm going to watch her. I understand she plays the piano. I haven't heard it yet, but I'm going to check it out. So welcome to the club, girl. I wish you well. May the Lord bless your YouTube. She's a good Christian woman, loves the Lord. And I listened to her other one. And you know what? She held my attention. I hope I can hold y'all's attention. So James came home for lunch, and I made that meatloaf. And you know what? I make it with, I use my hamburger and 1 egg and milk. And I use a half of a package of stuffing mix. It don't matter what kind you use. And mix it, put milk in it and 1 egg. And chop up onions real fine and put in it. And James just gobbled it down and I helped him. But I've been mad at that scale that says, you weigh 157.3. No, I'm supposed to weigh 155 point nothing. But it's been saying that, so I'm trying to go on my eat less diet. Eat less. Well, that meatloaf I kind of enjoyed it. It was real good. Yesterday I talked about Appalachia. And I remember so much about those days. And I was thinking later about all the cars I have owned. And the first one I bought was a little coupe. I think it was a Dodge. And it only had 1 seat. And I was out in California. Buddy was overseas. The babies got born. And all I had was a big buggy to get them around in. And that was quite an aggravation. You know, because you didn't have really a lot of room for your groceries. So this girlfriend of mine, she was pregnant also. Her husband had this little coupe. And he said, I'll sell it to you for $300. Well, I happen to have $300. As I've told you before, I'm thrifty. So I had $300. I just paid him $300 cash. We went and got it in my name. I had one little problem. It was a stick shift, and I had never drove a car. So how am I going to learn how? Well, my girlfriend taught me. Nancy taught me how to stick shift that thing and drive it. And then it came time for me to go get my driver's license. You know, I had the beginner's permit. But to go get my driver's license. And here I was 20 years old then. So I went to the driver's license plate and I said, I'm ready to take my driving test. And who's going to give it to me? They have different ones that do it. And this big black guy, real handsome, about 6'3" tall, said, I'm going to be the one to give you your drive. I was shaking all over. I mean, shaking. And I was scared of, see, I'm from the South, and I'm scared of, I was scared because he was so big and I flunked. I did not pass my first driving test, but he was real nice about it. So he said, well, okay, practice on that. You know, we had to back in and park, you know, and that's what I failed. He said, practice on that. somewhere where it's safe and come back and take it again. He was real nice. So I went and I practiced parallel parking. I don't even know if they make you parallel park anymore. And I'm due for my new driver's license in September, and I'm 91. And they only give them to you here in Indiana for 2 years, but I don't have to take a test. We just renew it. Only test you have to pass is to prove you're not blind. And one eye's not as good as the other, but I can still see. Thank you, Jesus. So anyhow, I made that meatloaf, and James came home and yummy. Now he's out working again. We had a nice time together. Oh, the timer's up. He came in, I turned the timer off, and he was taking a little nap. So I set the timer for he can drop off to sleep. Just like that. I don't do that. I can't do that. But I have lost the remote for my my YouTube. And, for my Fire Stick, I have lost it. I don't know if I walked out of the room with it. You should see this mess around me. And I've got boxes of sunglasses and all kinds of stuff. This is my other studio out here. But this lighting, I don't have any special lighting on. And it looks like it's going to turn out good. We shall see. Anyway, I hunted everywhere. And I said, well, maybe I put it in my hand and walked. You know how you just not thinking, you go do something else and you're carrying it with you maybe? I might have done that. So I'm going to walk through the house. I'm treating my feet right now, so I can't do that. I've got those tabs attached because for my neuropathy. But I thought, you know what? It seemed like I heard you could get an app for that off your phone. I'm going to try that. Guess what? It worked. It worked. I turned everything on. It's just easy peasy. Very easy. Now I can lose that Fire Stick anytime I want to because I got a Fire Stick. And you know what? It's really easy to run. That's a miracle. I went to the dentist this morning to get that tooth put back in, and it can't be put back in. I got to get that. It broke off, and I have an x-ray, so they said have it pulled. And you know what? I'm chewing just fine. I opt to do nothing. I'm just going to let her go for a while. If it gets bad, I'll go get it pulled when I need. See, part of the tooth is still there that was setting on, and it broke off, and so I'd have to have this one pulled. But I could have an implant there, and I have a couple of implants, and I might do that one of these days. Whatever. I'll just pray about it and see what the Lord leads me to do. Just follow His leading is what I always say, and so it'll all work out. I have a sister-in-law, my brother Aubrey, who was such a fine young man, and her met years ago, and they got married, and they had 2 children. And Aubrey had been engaged before and was hurt, and then he was married, and it just didn't work out, and then he met Janet. And Janet was the perfect wife for him. And so he passed away, and she does this stuff on looms. She makes rugs, she makes all kinds of stuff, and she still does. Well, she had a 6th bill, so she went into assisted living. And my daughter, Kim, baby Kim, the one that's like me, and is sometimes meaner than a snake. You have to look out for her. You never know. We get along good now, but we used to have some real good arguments when she was younger. Anyway, thank God she grew up finally. But anyhow, her husband, she always wanted a loom, a big loom. She's supposed to send me a picture of it, but she didn't do it yet. But I mean, it's 4 foot wide, it looks like, 3 foot high. And Janet has one, and she took it to her where she's at now. So Kim is going to go take a lesson and learn how. Janet's going to teach her how to run that loom. And I texted Janet because I didn't have her phone number at that time exactly. I didn't know if it worked or not, but I texted her, and she got the message. And the fact is, she's got a landline. How many people do you know now that's got a landline? James has got a landline at his office, but we all got cell phones now. I got rid of my landline years ago. probably 5 years ago. That was one bill I didn't have to pay anymore. But Janet is going to teach Kim how to do things on the loom. And Kim is so enthused. She said she always wanted one. So what did her husband do? That sweet son-in-law, Bruce. He says he never watches my YouTube, but who knows. But he is a good guy. So he looked on Marketplace. Y'all know what Marketplace is. That's on Facebook. You can look on Marketplace, and he bought her a big loom. And she's just one pleased person. I tell you the truth, she's turning into Mama Baird, Buddy's mother, with her chickens and the things that she likes to do is so much. And my mom was like that too. I never took after either one of them. I like to go hunt greens and hunt mushrooms, and we did that together. My mother-in-law and my mom, we would hunt mushrooms, and in April, the mushrooms will be coming up again, but I can't go hunt them. One time my brother Denny went, and he found like a half a bushel basket of those big white mushrooms, morel mushrooms. You can buy them some places for about $10 a pound, but he shared, and I froze some. You can freeze them and have them later. And then poke salad comes up in the spring, and I always get poke salad, but I've got some frozen in the freezer that I got last spring, and I like that. And it's so easy to fix. The way I fix poke salad is I fix the stalks and the leaves, and I just parboil them for just a little bit. And you don't have to just wash them to death. You just wash them one time. And then you chop them up in pieces about like that and parboil them for about 2 minutes. And then you rinse them real good. You rinse them off all the water. And then you get you some of that cornmeal mix. I like the kind you use, that's so easy, Jiffy mix. I use the Jiffy mix. And I just put Jiffy mix all over that, and I fry it and get it crispy. Talk about good. And they say it's good for you in the spring to do that. Well, I have some in the freezer. And spring is coming. Spring has not sprung yet, but it's getting close. And this weekend is when we go on fast time again. I wanted to stay on slow time. But we don't get what we want in this world, do we, all the time? We just have to persevere and keep on keeping on. And that's what we're going to do. So I'm sitting over here in my chair this morning, and I like doing that TV thing, but I needed to treat my feet because I had to come home from the dentist, and they were just as nice as they could be over there at the Charleston Dental Clinic. But he said, you need a partial. Now, there ain't no way in this world I'm going to get a partial. No. Not me. But I have had inserts, 2 of them. You know what they run? Well, years ago when I got 2, they run $3,000 a piece. But I spent the money, and I have a savings, and I might do that with this one. I don't know who to go to, though. The guy that took care of me the first time, he retired, and he was the best. I'm going to see if I can find out who the best one is. I'm going to ask around. I'll find out in New Albany. And he put them 2 teeth in my head, and it was good. But I can still eat. Even this tooth is missing. And when I was over there at the dental office this morning, I had such a good time over there. I told them, let's see, they're called Charleston Road Dental Clinic. And a young, good-looking dentist came out and did the examination. And they x-rayed it and showed me where it's all broke off. And I got pictures of it here. Let me see. I was going to get it. I've got it in my iPad, in the back of my iPad somewhere. But that tooth broke off. And you can't put that crown back on it anymore. Though I have the crown, it can't do it. And anyway, they were fun. And I said, well, I'm Grandma Lois. And I had my iPad with me. So I showed them who I was, and they just absolutely, they were so, really, And then I showed them on TikTok, where I have like 900,000 hits on TikTok singing, if you have Jesus, we have everything. And they were amazed that you're 91. You don't look no 91 years old. I said, and I'm not in pain. I am good shape. And they said, well, you really ought to get you a partial. I said, no, I don't think so. Thanks anyway. So I paid my bill, $51. It wasn't too bad for the x-ray. And said, they said, well, we'll see you again. I said, I hope not. Be honest. I'm not going back there anymore unless it's just to say hello. And they're so sweet, I might do that. I don't remember the dentist's name. But those girls were so friendly. And so I showed them my YouTube channel, and they made notes, and maybe I get some new subscribers, who knows. I went on TikTok yesterday and invited people to look about my Appalachian story. How those people in Tennessee are so gracious. I mean, you cannot believe. It's like the old-timey days, the way they treated us with such hospitality. I don't think that happens too much anymore. But I'll tell you what, I told them about how many miracles God has done in my life, and how he gave me twins when the doctor said I'd never have babies, and how that they graduated the top of their class in New Albany High School when the doctor said they would be blind and mentally retarded. And they just stood mesmerized this morning listening to me talk. And when I get started talking, I don't stop real fast. I just keep on keeping on. And I had a good visit with those girls. And they were saying this, that, and the other, and giving me advice, and you need to get of this, you need to. I said, well, we'll think about whatever, you know. We think about it and make our own mind up. She says, and I said, I don't want to do anything right now. She said, well, if you change your mind, she says, and I had told her, women change their mind all the time. You might change your mind. I said, if I change my mind, I'll let you know. But otherwise, they won't hear from me anymore. Sad. I might stop in and say hello because they were sweet. I told them I'd tell about them, and they were good. They were friendly, and they were kind. So if I really needed anything, just, like a fill-in or something, which I don't need, I'd go back. I have been to so many dentists in my life. And so this morning I called and talked to one about that does implants. And I found out who he was, and he was not who I thought he was. And, oh, yeah, you've been here before. And then I remembered I had been there before, and they were not nice. And I got into it with them because what they did was they quoted one price, and then when it come to pay them, it wasn't the same price they quoted, and they had written it down. And I had a copy. So I just told them, I said, that's not nice. I thought y'all was Christian people, and here you are charging. Well, we won't charge you that after all. We'll keep it like it was. And they kept it like it was. But you know what? When I found out who was, I accidentally called this morning. They changed their name. And I said, well, after I talked to the secretary, because she's just a little office girl, answered the phone, I told her I'll just have to think about it. But if you change your mind, let me know. I will not be calling them anymore. They finished with me when they raised the price and changed their, that's not good business. I bet that's why they had to change their name. You know it? I wouldn't be surprised. That's bad business. I certainly ain't going back there, but they still had me on computer. Okay, well, I'm not going there anymore, and I'm not recommending it, and I'm not going to tell you who they are, because, well, they changed their name anyway. So I'm done. So y'all walk that path where Jesus would be pleased with you. Look, I found out I don't have to do with special lighting or anything. Just sit here in my chair like I did starting out. It works. I hope it turns out good, and I hope you can hear me good. God bless y'all. It's been fun. Talk to you later. Bye-bye.